figured it out. I think I have figured it out. What's good, my fellow peasants? How you all doing? Now, guys, you know, I'm going to blow your minds here. Guys, you know, if you've seen any of my videos, I have been pushing Norse mythology in FF15. It is undeniably there. It is appearing. Square have definitely been running with a lot of Norse mythology in this story, in a really subtle and cool way. Quickly summarise, from Geri and Freki being Umbra and Pryna, Ragnarok wolves, to our four main protagonists being the four sons of Odin, to Regis himself being symbolically representative of Odin, Ardyn representing Loki, Ravus representing Fenrir, the possibility that the Regis is Sleipnir, or representative of Sleipnir, and therefore in turn could be getting tracked and bugged by Ardyn. All that good Norse shit, it's definitely there. But the one thing I've not been able to figure out is what the fuck are the shadows in the mist? You know that's been driving me absolutely crazy, guys. If you saw my last video, you know it had me absolutely tearing my hair out. Well, guys, I think I've got an answer, and wouldn't it be absolutely mind-blowing if I am able to produce to you right now a piece of compelling information that these figures in the mist are also connected to Norse mythology. How crazy would that be, guys, if I could actually produce that for you? Well, I'm going to give it a damn good shot. Lend me thine ear. Let's go. Okay, so what ties the shadows in the mist, the colossi, the things that sometimes look like weapons and sometimes look like knights of the round? What ties them to Norse mythology? Well, I have Phantom 101, same guy who did the Gentiana Leviathan theory, which was absolutely dope, still 100% sold on that. I have him entirely to thank for this, so shout out to Phantom 101 for this. And what he came up with, guys, it was a simple name, and as soon as he said it, I thought, bingo! In Norse mythology, there are beings called those who sit above in shadow. Now, already just from the name, I'm thinking, hell yes, but then I went away and I googled those who sit above in shadow, and this was the picture this was the first picture I came across. Now, are we not seeing already some rather uncanny resemblances? There's 5 of them, how they're stood, how they're positioned. But anyway, let's get into it. So what are these? Those who sit above in the shadows. They are gods, or they are more gods of gods. They're sort of the highest being, the highest order that you sort of have in Norse mythology. They are celestial beings living in a shadowy dimension. And basically these beings, they draw sustenance from the Norse gods undergoing a perpetual cycle of Ragnarok. They are pro Ragnarok, they are pro fucking everything up, they are pro bringing about a continual perpetual cycle of the apocalypse. That is what they feed off of. Now, going into detail on exactly what these colossi figures are, those who sit above in shadow, Phantom 101, I'm going to link his site down below. He went into a lot more detail on it. And the giants, because I do believe that these figures are in there, they are representative of the giants in Norse mythology, and he went into a lot of detail. So in Norse mythology, at the beginning of the world, when the ice of Nifleheim, of course we've got Nifleheim in FF15, and the fires of Muspelheim. Now we don't have Muspelheim, but we do have Solheim. And being that Sol means sun, it's not a long stretch to say that is the nation that represents fire and sun. Now when those two forces met, it created a giant named Ymir. Now Ymir in Norse mythology, thanks to him, the race of giants was born. One of those giants is called Surt, and Surt, he is the king of fire in Norse mythology, the lord of the fire giants and of the realm of Muspelheim. Now, Surt, he is the one who destroys the whole world after Ragnarok. So, Ragnarok, guys, we've got another connection to Ragnarok. I think that's about 5 or 6. Wait, it might even be 7 now. That actually might be about 7 different ties to Ragnarok that I've come across, and across all of this. And another one of those giants, let's go to another one, is Mimir. Now he's a wise giant that basically speaks to Odin, and Odin wishes to be one of the wisest of all the gods, and he makes a pact with Mimir, and Mimir, basically for giving Odin wisdom and power, he demands a sacrifice of Odin. Now in Norse mythology, Odin gives him an eye, but if we was to go back to indeed if Regis is Odin and all the connections are there with Odin, if Regis has indeed made a pact with these giants, that would kind of explain why they appeared, that would kind of explain why he was crying, and the fact that he was holding his son very, very tightly. It kind of makes me think that Regis hasn't agreed to lose an eye. And I do think if Regis has made a pact with these creatures, it is sinister, it is dark, it is something to do with his kingdom, and I think it's something to do with the last adventure Regis was on, because we know that there's the game, the King's Tale game. So King Regis has been on an adventure before, he's been on a journey, he's done something to save his kingdom, save the world before. We don't know exactly what it is, but I was discussing this with one subscriber, and this was what didn't make sense to me. We know that two of the people Regis was on that adventure with was one, Gladiolus' father, and two, Sydney's grandfather. Now that was really, really weird, and that really struck me. Why is it that Sydney's grandfather, a sort of nobody who sort of runs a pretty low-end garage down in Dusky, the middle of nowhere, how could such a lowly person as Sydney's grandfather have once been friends, close friends and allies with the King of Lucis? And that made me think, perhaps it is this pact. Perhaps Regis did do something dark. Perhaps he did do something he shouldn't have to have gained victory at the time, and Sydney's grandfather did not agree with it, and that's where they clashed horns. That's why Sydney's grandfather is living out in the fucking boonies, and perhaps that is why when we do see in the game, Noctis and co do go and see Sydney's grandfather. Perhaps he's going to give us some sort of backstory, some sort of insight, some sort of detail on that whole side of it. Just throwing that out there. Oh man, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. Oh, I really think this might be it, guys. But let's continue. Let's get back on track. So, to grant Odin his wisdom and power, Mimir tells Odin that he has to drink from this well, and it's also through this well that Mimir talks to Odin, communes with him. And on Phantom 101 site, he had this image to represent that scenario. So Mimir being the eye in the well, the one who communes with him. And of course, again, Odin, what is he holding? A walking stick. Again, like I said, guys, so Odin is represented very often, or associated very often with walking sticks. And we saw Regis with that walking stick. And that connection is just so there. But Phantom 101 then went on to say, where would we see that fountain in FF15? Where could that FF15 fountain be represented in the game? Where have we seen it? And he posted a GIF, and this GIF blew my mind for more than one reason. So this is the GIF, guys. This is the GIF. Now, let's break this down. Who is Noctis clearly fighting? Of course, he is fighting Ravus. Ravus is the one with the white hood. Now, I know this is Versus XIII, but guys, this once again, I do remember this scene, but I forgot about it. Now I'm seeing it, I forgot about it. But again, did I not say that if Noctis is Vidar and Ravus is Fenrir, then they are going to fight? And if it follows the Norse mythology, Ravus ain't going to be coming out of that fight swinging. He's going to get killed if it follows Norse mythology. And like I said, what's that going to do between... now we know Ravus and Lunafreya, brother and sister. What's that going to do between Luna and Noctis' relationship? If Noctis does put a brother down. Oh man, I can't wait to see how that plays out. I really can't. That's going to be great. But... So looking at this scene, could we not see if they're fighting over this water, and the man in the hooded, white hooded robe is trying to drain the power? Could we not see that as Ravus trying to take that power, that wisdom that Regis has been using for his own? Is that what's going on in this GIF? Has this whole Norse mythology thing been in place since Versus XIII? And if that's the case, guys, that brings me onto a whole new level. Here we go, level 2. Now it's fair to say that Final Fantasy XV, it has moved on quite far since its Versus XIII days. But guys, not so much that it's completely lost all sort of connection to what its original premise was. It hasn't been completely overhauled. So does it not make perfect sense that being as a lot of Final Fantasy XV still does carry what Versus XIII originally had, its base premise, its base ideology, that is why we are seeing these Norse themes so heavily influencing the story. I mean, it influenced FF13 greatly. As I said, the end was Fang turning into Ragnarok. It was hugely influenced. Guys, if we look back in hindsight and we do think of these as the concept of these creatures as being based on those who sit above in shadow, the gods of gods in Norse mythology, if we think back to Versus XIII and FF13 days, could we not see, and this is what Phantom 101 put out, could we not have seen Orphan as being one of those creatures, guys? Think about it. Think about what the last thing Orphan ever said was. Geri must fall ere we be saved. Too frail a shell and humans should not thrive. Too stout a shell and they will not die. Slaughter and salvation. Two irreconcilable focuses we bore. Slaughter and salvation, guys! The need to have humans who don't die too easily, but also don't live too easily. The need to have beings to feed off in a perpetual cycle of Ragnarok. Orphan was one of those figures. He was one of those giants. He was one of those creatures that fed off of Ragnarok and needed humans to be strong enough to survive, but not too strong that they could end it. And guys, that is what Norse mythology is all about. It's all about this perpetual cycle until it eventually gets broken. And is that what is going down in FF15? Is this about Noctis breaking that cycle of death and life, death and rebirth? Has this been going on since the dawn of the Lucis household? Is that why this has happened to all of Noctis' ancestors? This is why they've become these shadows in the mist, these creatures. Is this what happens when you make a pact with them? Did Regis make a pact with these beings at the expense of his own son, or indeed at the expense of himself? Is this what happens? If you take that power, you take that wisdom to save your kingdom, whatever it is at the expense that you will then become one of these creatures. And that ties to the Knights of the Round. It ties to them appearing in the Dawn trailer. It ties into the curse. It ties into why Regis was crying. That's the thing about these beings, guys. If they are these creatures who are responsible for Ragnarok, if Orphan was indeed one of them, just like Orphan was, then, and what was Orphan? Orphan was a Fal'cie. And this is where it gets really confusing, but it also kind of uncanny, really, because I've been seeing comments, I've been seeing rumours, I've seen it at least 3 or 4 times on my own channel, of people making the comment that they believe Fal'cie are still in the game. Now, I don't know what supports that, I don't know where that rumour's coming from. Like I said, I've been avoiding spoilers, but I've been hearing it, I've been seeing it. Theories that Fal'cie are still appearing in the game, and it would kind of make sense from the fact that if we have creatures who are feed off of Ragnarok, that is indeed what Orphan was. Orphan fed off of Ragnarok, and Orphan was a Fal'cie, so that's what the Fal'cie were. That's only just clicked to me, by the way. That is what Fal'cie, the concept of Fal'cie were. They were based on these things in Norse mythology, those who sit above in shadow. But what doesn't make sense is that Square Enix did come out and say FF15 is no longer connected to FF13, to the Fabula Nova Crystallis universe. They said they were no longer connected, so it wouldn't make sense for Fal'cie to be in the game, but it would make sense if the concept of those who sit above in shadows was still being used. They're just going to call them something different. I highly doubt they're going to call them Fal'cie. There's not going to be anything with Fal'cie or L'cie. And the other thing that's confusing on this spectrum of just how separated has 15 really become from 13. we've got that with Fal'cie, but we've also got it with Etro. There's been a lot of sort of confusion on whether Etro's still in the game, and it really is quite blurred. I mean, we've even seen paintings of Etro still appearing in the game and in the movie. We've seen this artwork here, this figure, this deity in the middle. Everyone assumed that was Etro, and that kind of makes sense for that to be Etro. And most of all with the logo. The logo has never changed since Versus XIII, and when that logo was done for Versus XIII, it was being said that that was Etro. But they didn't change the logo, and when Tabata got questioned on it, he said that they didn't change the logo because the logo, what it was representing, was still relevant. So is Etro still in the game, or what is most likely, and this is what I theorise, is that the concept of Etro, of the gods and goddesses, are still in the game. The concept of Fal'cie are still in the game, but they're probably just going to switch the names. That's what I think will happen. Now, I don't think the gods of Eos, the ones that Luna communes with, you know, she's an oracle, and I've speculated who are the gods that she supposedly is able to commune with. Well, I don't think they're going to be called Lindsay, Pulse, Bunavelza, Etro. They'll likely have different names, but they're going to be the same core concept, and this is the hierarchy that I see happening. I see the Astrals being the guardians of the world. I mean, we've had that confirmed. Then above those, we have the gods and goddesses, whatever they are. I believe it to be that figure, the ones that Luna speaks with, and then above that you have the gods of gods, those who sit above in shadow. And no, I don't think Nifleheim speaks with them. Like I said, they're a tier above, they're gods above gods, and they used gods as a way to, you know, keep the perpetual cycle of Ragnarok. And Etro was a very, very important part of that. Now, she was the death aspect of death and rebirth, and that's why when she got killed in FF13, chaos got unleashed and everything went to buggery. So the gods above gods, they use the gods, but they want the balance to stay restored. You know, they don't want complete Armageddon, complete chaos. They want the cycle to continue, and that was what it was about in FF13, about breaking that cycle. But what we might see happen in FF15, and this ties straight back to Norse mythology, is those who sit above in shadow, they get communicated with by Loki. Loki approaches them, he basically tries to use them, gain their power, gain their influence, gain their favour, and they give it to Loki. You know, like I said, if we're seeing that as Ardyn, perhaps Ardyn, that's why he's going after the crystals, perhaps that's his way of communing with these beings, these gods above gods. But what Loki does in Norse mythology is he takes it too far. Loki unleashes Fenrir, and under Loki's command, Fenrir goes around killing gods and guardians of the world. In this case, we could see them as Astrals, the Astrals, and whatever it is that is replacing Etro, whatever the gods of Eos, the ones that Nifleheim communes with. And perhaps that could even be how the Plague of the Star arrives. They're just connected with me. Perhaps that's how Nifleheim is holding back the Plague of the Star. It's through her connection with the gods and through her communing with them. And once those gods get killed, although the guardians get killed, perhaps that's when why the Plague of the Star arrives. And in Norse mythology, when Loki tries that, you know, his ambition is even bigger than those who sit above in shadow anticipated. They're like, whoa, Loki, too fucking far, and basically he falls out of favour with them because, you know, they don't want the gods to die. It's only with those gods that the continual cycle of Ragnarok can happen. Oh god, this is too high! I genuinely think this might be what's happening, guys. I genuinely think this might be what the figures are. Those who sit above in shadow. I genuinely think this might be the hierarchy structure of Eos. I genuinely believe that Ravus is being used by Ardyn to take out the gods and goddesses and guardians for his own gains. I genuinely believe that is what Ravus' role is in the game. And would that not make Ardyn, indeed, as Tab described, the best villain of all time? I mean, if Ardyn is even sat above these, you know, he's even above these Colossi figures, he's at the top. He's even using the gods of gods for his gains. No, even the gods of gods are like, whoa, this dude is too much. That would definitely make for one of the greatest villains of all time. And it even ties into what we saw in Kingsglaive. Oh my god, we finally have the answer on what that weapon is. So it looked like diamond weapon, but in Norse mythology, if this is all correct, in Norse mythology, Loki, when he attacks the gods, he brings with him many giants. Not those who sit above in shadow, he brings lesser giants from Nifleheim. Now Nifleheim, being that it's the land covered in mist, that's what it means, mist. So he brings giants covered in mist to attack. Is this what's happening? And it even ties in with the whole thing of, you know, the first giant Ymir, he was created when the ice of Niflheim and the fires of Morselheim came together. Could this not confirm what I've been saying about, you know, the other side of what this could possibly be? If this is indeed a creature created by the Niflheim Empire or created by the Solheim Empire, this is what I said. I've always said it's one of those two. Solheim, because I believe they're renowned for inventing, or Niflheim. Could it not even be a combination of both? It would tie with Norse mythology, and this is man's attempt at creating giants. They are using powers above their own knowledge, above what they should be using, and that is why it gets out of control. That's why we see Niflheim's ships getting tossed around. It all connects! I'm done, I'm absolutely done. I could sit here going on all day about all the other connections I've read about in Norse mythology. All of them just connect, all of them just work. All the smaller details that I haven't even mentioned that just tie into what is happening in FF15. It is so compelling, the evidence, and I think it is fucking cool. Actually, I think Square Enix are geniuses. Absolutely geniuses for doing this, for continuing what FF13 had in a completely new direction. They've spun it in a new direction. They've made it so subtle, so unique. No, they've added its own flavour of Final Fantasy. But that the base premise of it all is based on what is categorically one of the best storytelling cultures in history. The Norse, the Vikings, they were the greatest storytellers of all time. They really, really were. I mean, their imaginations were incredible. And let's not forget, this was a religion. This was their religion, and they made their gods. They gave them flaws, they gave them human emotions, they gave them the ability to die, and I do think this is what these figures represent. I do think the game could be ending in Ragnarok, and I want to clarify that, guys, because I know some of you have been saying, do you just think then it's going to all end in doom and gloom, just everything's fucking burnt and destroyed, and it's going to be an absolutely miserable ending? No, I don't think that. I don't think it's going to be total doom and gloom. But what I do think is that this is going to be a darker Final Fantasy ending than we are used to. I think it's going to be lighter throughout the game with sort of the brotherhood, the light-hearted tone. But then I do think it's going to have a very serious gear shift at the end. Who are we going to lose in the game? Is Luna going to make it? Is Noctis really going to have to fight his father? I mean, the Square will go there. They've gone there before. They did it with in FF4 with Edge's parents. They went there. They did it in FF10 with Tidus and Jet. The whole thing of having to free a parent who has become a monstrous-like creature, that happened with both Edge and Tidus. And they were really profound. They really stuck with me. So, if they do it again, I am fully on board with that. That's all I got, guys. Let me know what you think. One thing before you go, at the end you're going to see something new. I want to see this channel grow. I love doing these videos and I want to improve my channel any way I can. So, you guys, as you know, I fucking love Final Fantasy merchandise, and I showed you guys the wall art. A lot of you have been asking for that. I'm in talks with the designer now for that, to get that all set up for you guys. I'll let you know when that's all up and where you can get that. But I want to improve it. I want to go further. I want to get to a stage where I can give free giveaways at the end of videos, be it Kayart's figurines, other merchandise, books, games, all that good shit. And so I'm going to do it because I think this would be dope. I'm going to set up a Final Fantasy Peasant merchandise store. I'm going to pull in all kinds of sweet merchandise, and because one thing I'm good at is finding merch at really good offers. You know, my KOTR collection, I got all of those on really good deals. I'm like a deal hunter, I'm like a deal goblin, and if I can offer that to some of you guys, my subscribers, fill in some of the blank in your collections, or even encourage guys to start collections. For anyone who hasn't even started with it, hopefully I can. That'd be dope. So if you want to support me, help me to grow and improve my channel, help me to do more videos, because I fucking love doing them. So at the end of this particular video, I'm going to stick up a KOTR figurine, a dope KOTR figurine. You can go, it'll be an auction, so you can offer whatever amount you want to show your support and love. And hopefully the FF Peasant merch store, that could be an exciting new dynamic to the channel. I think that'd be dope. I think that'd be dope. But until the next video, guys, KOTR!